Hi, I'm Ben, and welcome to my book corner. Today I'm doing my belated Booktube Newbie Tag. My friend Noah at In Between the Lines has been bugging me to do this since before I started the channel, and I've been ignoring him. You, however, should not. I've included a link to his channel above and in the description below. Please go check him out, give him some love, and tell him that Ben sent you. However, as I've already said, this is the Booktube Newbie Tag, and that begins with why have I chosen to start a Booktube? And there's a couple of different reasons. The first one is the fact that I had kind of fallen out of love with reading a little bit. Although that's not entirely true. I just stopped reading. And I don't like that. And this is in a way to help me to read more. And since I've started it, I have read probably more in the last 2 months than I have for the previous 12 months combined, which is depressing in its own way, if I'm honest. The other reason is to help me find new books to read, new genres. I'd love to know what other people think I should try out, what I might enjoy, and maybe some of it I won't. And the final point is to discuss the books that I've read, to maybe try and get some insight into why other people don't like or do like them, or things that I've just simply missed. So that's why I've started it. As for things that will make this channel fun and unique, probably not that much. If I'm completely honest, there's book talk, booktube, vlogs, blogs, reviews, everything's already out there. And as in most things, originality is a hard thing to come by. However, what I want to do and what I'm hoping to give is my unique perspective on the books that I read. And maybe from that point of view, then give you something new to look at so that you can have some fun and enjoy some new books or a new aspect of a book that you've already read. So I'm excited. I've already touched on this, but to discover something new. Most of my reading history is in a very specific sort of set of genres, and actually maybe it's about time I should read some different stuff. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to, and also, as I again already touched on, to hear what other people think that might maybe look back at a book and think, okay, I get it now. An example of this is The Troop and Beneath the Rising, both books myself and Noah both reviewed. And we both have very, very different views on them. I really like Beneath the Rising. I've gone out and bought the second book. He thought it was the worst book he's ever read. The Troop, on the other hand, he gushed over. And it wasn't for me. But when we've discussed them both afterwards, I can see the different points of view, and it actually elevates the books. Even though like one he didn't like, I could look at that and think I could see where that's come from, but this is why I like it, and it kind of helps formulise your own thoughts a little bit. So that's what I'm excited for anyway. Why do I love reading? I mean, look outside at the world. It's an horrible place at the moment, and for me personally, reading is an escape. And we all need an escape from the mundanity of normal life, from the stresses and strains and everything that's going on. And even if you have like a great life and everything's wonderful, even then sometimes you need that escape from reality. And of all the forms of media, books are unique in the way that they do that. You can't sit back, well, you can, but it's harder to sit back and mindlessly read a book like you can watch a TV show. And they're quite often not as interactive as a video game, but they're more restricted to your own imagination. Every time you read a book, the way you read it and the takeaways you get from it are going to be unique to you because of your own life experiences. And that's what I love about reading, to sort of fade and melt away into this other world that isn't this one. And, for me personally, that's the biggest driver for why I want to do this. So when did I start reading? I mean, I've been reading a long time. I'm an old man at this point. And a lot of my reading, a lot of it started in the mid-90s proper. Before that, when I was just a wee little child, I read as much as a small child does. I learned to read at school. I had a collection of books about talking cars, which I cannot remember what they were called or who wrote them. They were very similar to Thomas the Tank Engine, and each story was about one specific car, there was one specific colour, and they all had their own personalities. It was a story of what happened to that car on a certain journey or throughout their life, with the abandoned car, what we like. And that initially gave me the push into it. And then ended up reading a lot of childhood fantasy stories involving dragons and knights and magic. And then eventually I fell into other books, which fetches me into what series got me into reading. So I've already touched on the car books, which I can't remember what they're called. But the books that I really started reading, bizarrely, were the Star Wars Legends books. The Yuuzhan Vong and the Thrawn trilogy are the two that come to mind specifically. I've not read the Legends books for a while. I've not actually read the new Thrawn books, or need to get around to them actually. However, on top of that, when I was about 14, my grandmother had on the back page of one of her magazines a book club. And it was 5 books for, I don't know, 30 quid, maybe. Probably not. It was the 90s. It was probably a tenner. But she wanted me to read more, so we went through and I picked 5 books off there. And 4 of them I still have. One of them I've had to really dig to try and remember what it was. But those books were The Elenium by David Eddings. That's the one that I unfortunately no longer have, although I do have the follow-up, The Tamuli. Polgara the Sorceress by David and Lee Eddings. Sky Trillium by Julian May. Blood of the Fold by Terry Goodkind. And then I finally decided, because I couldn't decide on the last book, so I picked based on the cover, Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. Another one that I've already reviewed on this channel. And they were the books that really got me into reading. I mean, some of them, like the Terry Goodkind books, I have fallen by the wayside years ago at this point, to the point where I went into Waterstones the other day, I looked and went, oh, there's a lot of those now. Don't feel any great urge to go back, but they are what then got me into reading. And then the natural jumping off point from there was from the Hogfather into the myriad of Discworld books, which I adore and I love, and are my most reread books on my bookshelf. And also the Wheel of Time books by the late, great Robert Jordan, and the Tawny-Man trilogy by Robin Hobb. Those are like the 3 big series that really drove home my love for reading. So when I do read, where do I read? At home, in bed, on the couch. I don't really travel that much anymore. If I do have to travel, I normally have my Kindle with me, where I have a myriad of smaller books as a rule of thumb. But generally at home, just when I just need just a bit of chill time to myself. Because we all need that, really, don't we? And what kind of books do I read? Well, if it's not already clear, there is a great deal of magic and fantasy in the books that I read. I read almost exclusively fiction. It doesn't all have the fantastical bent, but it does tend to be high fantasy as a rule of thumb. I do read a bit of sci-fi. I have read a little bit of horror. I occasionally read thrillers, stuff like that. But I want to expand my reading range. And as already mentioned, that's part of why I'm doing this. And already, for example, The Troop is a book that I would never read. So it's started, slowly, but it's started. But anyway, that is my very quick newbie tag video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.